It's a beautiful day. It's right around 32 degrees though, right at the freezing mark. But the sunshine, you get those UV rays, they're nice and warm. Unfortunately, this ice here, right up here, the rest of the driveway's fine, but right up here, it will not melt. And it's literally like a skating rink. I mean, I back up on that and my truck just slides. So I'm hoping every day that it melts, and I can see it's a little wet, so the UV rays are actually melting it down a little bit. I got this big puddle over here too that's frozen, but I'm gonna have to put a load of topsoil in there or something so that doesn't hold water. What's happening, cats? It is a beautiful day, like I said, and just enjoying the weather a little bit outside. I did get my chainsaw out and cut some firewood the other day over behind the shed, and I can't drive in the yard with my tractor to, load up the wagon and pull it up to the house. So I've just been carrying arm loads up and stacking it on the porch. Getting a little bit of workout every day. I don't do it all in one day, but I've been working on it little by little. How weird my walkway is. The frozen ground is heaved up, and the steps have sunk. So it's a little weird to walk on. I mean, you could easily twist your ankle or get hurt walking on that darn thing. So I don't know how it's going to work out in the spring when it thaws, if that's going to go back down and settle back down, or if I'm going to have to redo that walkway. I don't know. Time will tell. Nice and warm in here. The wood burner's cranking out some heat, and with the sun shining, it's really comfortable. I'm almost too warm wearing this hoodie, and I'll probably take it off here in a minute because if I do anything physically, it gets hot in here, and I have to strip down to my t-shirt just to keep cool. I did have the furnace guy out today. He gave me my routine annual inspection on the furnace, which probably has about a total of 8 hours of use on it, if that. So of course it's like brand new, and he said, oh, there's nothing wrong with it, no charge or anything. He said everything's good, checks out fine, and he's gone. So yeah, because I always leave my furnace thermostat set at 52 all the time. It never gets down that cold inside the house. With this wood burner going, it always, I mean, it can get down in the low 60s, but that's about it. And then as soon as I get a fire going, it warms right back up again. Needless to say, I can't wait for springtime to come. I'm so tired of dealing with, having to carry wood in the house every day and fill the stove up and dealing with all that, have to clean the ashes out at least once a week and all that rigmarole. I'll be glad to be done with it. Anyways, yesterday, one of the ladies in my grief support group was kind of having a bad day, and she texted me, and I could tell she was just kind of, putting her feelers out there. So I gave her a call, and she was elated to hear from me, and I think we talked for about an hour. Now, don't think that there's anything going on there, any kind of relationship. But it's nice that we can support each other. I mean, both of us have lost our spouse, and so we both share the same kind of grief. And I'm telling you, when you have grief, it's always a part of you. It's always a part of your heart, and it can come on any day randomly, and make that day very depressing. Now, I've told you guys, I got a pretty good circle of friends here, and I've been telling people, look, if you want to do something, you're going to have to book ahead of time, because my schedule's pretty much booked out, full. I always have something going on every week, and it's like, sometimes I just think, boy, I sure wish I could have a day off. It's almost like that. I mean, there's sometimes when I'll have 3 or 4 days in a row of just bam, 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 non-stop stuff. Uh, and That's all right. I need that. I need to stay busy. It keeps my mind occupied, and I really enjoy my circle of friends too. But anyway, I was able to support her, and she was able to support me, and we ended up laughing and having a good time over the phone. Um, and our group. There's 5 of us that are kind of tight knit that have been in this support group for a couple years. We no longer go to the support group. The that place that we used to go to and meet like once a month, and there's a leader there that kind of led us through whatever their support tactics are. But we've kind of stuck together, the 5 of us, and we no longer go to the support group, but we go out to lunch like once a week, once a month, and we just hang out there and for a couple hours and just chit chat and have a wonderful time. And it's really nice because they understand where I'm coming from, and I understand exactly where they're coming from, because we're all on the same level as far as sharing grief with losing a dearly loved one. So yeah, she was feeling bad, and I was able to cheer her up, and it was all good. And then we kind of planned for another group gathering here coming up in a couple of weeks. So looking forward to that too. Today's my father's 96th heavenly birthday. So he passed away a few years back. But he was a proud father of 5 of us boys. And yeah, I think there was a lot of pride there with him. He always dressed us the same, and wanted to show us off in that fashion. And yeah, a lot of memories. Some of them are bittersweet, but happy birthday to my dad. In other news, my son has decided to put a little effort into his YouTube channel. I believe it's Airborne Jordan, like one word. So his latest video that he posted is of his new airplane, flying his new airplane, which I believe is it's made by a company called Flight Design, and the model is a CTSW. So it's a neat little plane. I mean, he doesn't have a motorcycle anymore. He's got an airplane. That's his Harley Davidson of the air, So he did take me flying in that thing one time, and I was extremely impressed. He's got a grass, like a field runway, that's, I think, about 900 feet long. And so we got in this little plane, and it's surprisingly a large cockpit. I mean, there's room in between. We're not sitting shoulder to shoulder like you are in some small planes. There's plenty of room in there. And you put the headset on, and it has the noise canceling thing, so you don't hear the engine. You can just hear each other talking kind of quietly, and so that's kind of nice. And then he showed me some of the instruments and how things work. I'm not into flying, but he's really good at it, and he knows his stuff. My father-in-law, his grandfather, was a pilot, and I think that's kind of where he got the interest from. But that, and then his military training too. So, I mean, he wasn't a pilot in the military, but he did fly quite a bit, and so he got his pilot's license, and now this is his second airplane that he's owned. His first airplane was another experimental aircraft, but it was smaller and mostly all like plastic, like the cockpit was almost like canvas, like plastic doors and stuff, almost like an ultralight, but the thing flew, and but his new plane, like I was saying, he's got this grass runway, and it's in the field, so it's not really smooth. It's just like a field, you know, kind of rough, and it's about 900 feet long. So we taxi around, we get up to the runway, and he's telling me, you know, you have the headset on, so he's like, this runway's about 900 feet, and this plane is recommended for a 2,000 foot runway. I'm like, are you serious? I mean, I know my son likes to take risks and kind of has that adrenaline junkie thing, but I'm like, I don't know, man. I'm sure this plane can carry both of us, because I weigh like over 200 pounds, and he's like, don't worry about it. He throttles that thing up, and down the runway we go, and not even halfway down the runway, that thing, off it goes into the air. Really smooth too. I was really surprised, and it was real comfortable. I mean, it was a really nice ride, and we just kind of flew around the area looking at some of the landmarks down below, and it's interesting from the air looking down and being able to identify things from the air, you know, even seeing my own property. So it was kind of fun, and I want to do it again. And I told him, I said, I want to do it again and bring the camera along and bring you guys with me, because it's really kind of cool. It's really an enjoyable thing. So he promised me he would take me flying again, but that hasn't happened quite yet. Of course, you have to have the right weather opportunities, and if the runway's covered with snow, that's a different problem. So there's days when you can do it and days when you probably shouldn't fly, especially in a small aircraft like that. But that thing's pretty airworthy, I'm telling you. It's really nice. So I put a link in the description with his last video. If you haven't had a chance, watch it and subscribe to his videos, because he said he's going to be posting some more. I was able to share my editing program with him, because he didn't have anything and he wasn't sure how to edit a video. So I sat down with him and I showed him the process of my Sony Vegas Studio 16, and I loaned it, the disc, to him, and he was able to get it on his computer and actually start editing his own movies. So he told me he's got a lot more footage set up, but he's still kind of working on his system with the airplane, because I don't know, he said there was something with between the mic and it wanted to pick up the sound of the engine or something while he's recording, and so he had to like dub over with his own narrations, because everything he said inside the plane, you couldn't hear it because of the sound of the engine. So he's still working on how to figure that out. He's got to figure out his mic set and how to connect it to the camera and all of that. But I'm looking forward to seeing some more of his videos too. Tomorrow is I'm hosting a big pizza party for the neighbors and friends, so I'm looking forward to that. I'm probably going to have a house full, and it's always fun to get together with friends. I'm walking around my yard. I got some work to do in the spring. I've got all these ash trees that have died, and they're all falling down. I mean, look at that great big thing. Here's another one, and another one. I mean, those are, I call widow makers, but see, they're starting to fall down. So I've got these here that are broken off. There's 3 of them there that I hope that one falls out towards the field, not in my yard. The buzzards and the crows like to sit up in that great big one. I got a pine tree up there that has died and fallen over. I got another chunk of an ash here that needs to be cut up with the chainsaw. That'll probably make some firewood. It broke off from this stub right here. See, look at that great big widowmaker there. I'll tell you what, if one of them limbs broke off and hit me, it'd probably kill me. And there's quite a few of them around the yard. I just like to take a stroll around and see what's going on. It's always interesting to see what's fallen down or what damage the deer have done to my property, because the deer have been very prevalent around here. Just the other day I had 4 bucks in the yard, two 6 points, 1 8 point, and a 10 point, all together, you know, hanging out together with a couple of does. And I see them every day. You know, they come out of the woods back here and they come into the yard. This little spruce tree's doing okay. They haven't messed it up yet, but see, the buck has actually tangled up this wire. I have a wire cage around there, and his antlers have bent the cage. He tries to, you know, rip his antlers on there, but luckily I put that cage on there that protects that spruce tree, or he'd completely annihilate it. So this one, Norway spruce, is one that had survived. I planted it years ago, and fortunately the deer didn't get at it, but there was a couple of Norways that I planted that the deer have, they killed them. They just, you know, they strip them right down to the stump, and there's nothing left of it. So I don't know if I'm going to replant them at this stage in my life, because before they get, you know, even big enough to appreciate, I'll probably be gone another 20 years or so. I still have some small ones though that I'm nurturing along. Right here, this little white pine, the deer have actually chewed the brand new leaders off of it already. They stuck, I mean, I have this cage around it, but they stuck their head right in there and ate the tender little shoots off of there. So it's just going to have to struggle and try to re-up itself again. They're all along, I have pines all along here. This one they had damaged earlier, but I see the tip's still on there. They didn't chew that one off yet, probably because it's up against the cage there and they couldn't quite get at it. Oh, my yard's flooded back here. Not frozen. I have more pine trees along here. I like to check them to just see if the deer had got at them or not, because they usually do a lot of damage in my yard. I have a little Norway spruce over here, and it seems to be okay, and I don't see any deer damage on it. And it's beyond the point where I don't have to worry about it anymore. These smaller ones though, I really have to worry about all the time though. Doesn't look, well, it does look like they chewed that tip off of there. Doggone it. What about this one? This one's okay. They haven't touched it yet. Oh, look at this one. All the tips are chewed off. The top's gone. Yeah. So, I don't know how that thing's going to grow at this point. It's going to be a real struggle for it. I have this little one down here. Did they get it? No, it still has growth on it. So it might survive. Another tree down that's going to need to be cut up. That one's got a growth on it, so yeah, it's gonna struggle, but they got to it earlier, but this year they didn't touch it yet, so if it can make it another month or two, it'll be okay. This Norway spruce is doing quite well. It survived for many years. Same with this one. Got pretty big. This one over here was Val's favorite one, and it's the biggest one in our yard. She loved this tree, and it is pretty magnificent. It's really done well over the years, but it keeps reaching these arms out further and further. That thing's probably a good 65 foot tall, I'm gonna guess. It's really going up there. But you see how these arms keep stretching out, and one of these days it's going to reach all the way to the house the way it's going. These white pines have the long soft needles, and I planted those when they were just little seedlings, and they're pretty big now. This one's fighting its way up through the other trees, but it's doing good. Survivor. 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 Another survivor. But they chewed that branch off. It's still got a candle up on top though, so it's gonna live. Two more over here, little ones. Looks like a survivor. And that one should be fine as well. You guys haven't said anything about my new sunglasses. They call these Skinny Joes. I used to have a pair years and years ago, and I used to wear them when I rode out to Sturgis because they're really good at protecting my eyes. They kind of have a little wraparound, and I always liked them. They're very fragile though. They break super easy. But it was just recently I was online and they popped up on my feed, and I think it was on a eBay thing, and I thought, oh wow, there's those glasses I used to have. So I went ahead and ordered a couple pair because I know they won't last long. They'll probably break. You know, I mean, you just have to handle them with kid gloves, really. Well, it was nice being able to spend a little bit of time outside, although it's still pretty cold. There's no snow out there. It's easy moving around. And the sunshine is, I love sunshine. I mean, that just brightens up anybody's day. A little bit of sunshine, you know. Tomorrow, not so much though. The weather's supposed to turn really sour. I mean, it's going to be right at the freezing mark, and it's going to rain all day. So, you know what that means. Lots of nasty ice. That was weird because yesterday morning was the same thing. When I woke up in the morning yesterday, it was like a misty rain coming down, and these little icicles were forming on everything. But within an hour or two, the temperature went up just a little bit above freezing, and all of it melted. So we'll see what it's going to do tomorrow. I'm not looking forward to it. Any kind of nasty weather like that, you know, it's not fit for man nor beast. And yeah. Well, I really hope you liked my video. If you did, hit me with that big thumbs up. And if you haven't yet, subscribe and continue to join us. And I'll continue to throw out the most adventurous videos that I can at this time of year when there isn't a whole lot else going on. Yeah, kind of boring. But it won't be long. A couple months. Be back on a scooter. And who knows where that's going to take us. Until next time, cats, I'll catch y'all later.